Hey, wrestling fans. We're back once again right here, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. And once again, I am being joined by Blake Acumen. And
Hello.
first thing I want to ask is, did you see TLC on Sunday?
Yes, I absolutely saw TLC Sunday.
And overall, what were your thoughts on it as a show?
As a show, a great effort, especially from everybody there. And from the production group, who don't get a lot of credit, like those promos, like the editing and everything. Just tonight, they were just on their game specifically.
And I thought the main event, Styles and Ambrose, very good match. Were you surprised about the heel turn from James Ellsworth?
I can't say I was. I joked about it to my brother, who I was watching with. I joked about it just before it would happen, not thinking it would actually happen, but it certainly made sense. So, no, not surprised. Surprised they followed through on it, yes.
And also, I thought, which was a very good match, Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss in the tables match. And what did you think of it?
That match didn't actually get a lot of credit. I talked to a few people. I listened to a few different interviews and stuff. That match doesn't get a lot of credit for some reason. I thought it was a great effort by both women. You know, Alexa Bliss, people are forgetting, has only been in the business for a few years now. And she held her own with Becky Lynch as far as following through and everything. She looked good. Both women looked good. Becky's been in the business for a while, so she certainly held her own. The match was great. You know what I think? The crowd just wasn't into it tonight. I'm not really sure why. I don't really like Houston's crowd because of that. But yeah, the crowd just wasn't into it tonight. But I thought great effort by both women. I loved the finish, you know, where she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna trip you, catch you, powerbomb," and she's so short that it's adorable for her to do a powerbomb.
Now, I think another very good match that was on this show was The Miz and Dolph Ziggler. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. These two kind of, if I'm not mistaken, they grew up together. So being both from Cleveland, coming up together in OPW and stuff like that, you kind of know each other. You kind of know exactly what you're going to do, especially as of late with their match after match after match after pay-per-view and stuff. Yeah, so it was almost redundant to say they had one of the matches of the night, but that's legitimately what happened. So I'm not really surprised.
And this was built as the last match between them. Do you think WWE will stick to it?
Ask yourself that question and then ask, has it ever been, quote, the last match between this person and this person without a death happening between
True.
the two? It's never a last match, rather. It's the last match of this feud right now.
And there were a couple of matches on this show, in my opinion, that actually surprised me how good they were. And those two were the chairs match with Kalisto and Baron Corbin, and then the no DQ with Nikki Bella and Carmella.
All right, we'll talk about the no DQ first. It's a lot shorter, and I have a lot shorter explanation. Okay, I liked Carmella in the match, I guess. Yes, I'll like that. The finish was just lackadaisical, to say the least. You know, fire extinguisher.
Yep.
Finish. Go home. All right. Lackadaisical. I'll grade that. And oh Jesus, I lost my other thought. What was the other match?
It was the chairs match with Kalisto and Baron Corbin.
I was the only human being on the planet that thought that match would blow everything out of the water. I really was. Because I know Kalisto. I knew back when he was PWG. I still can't pronounce his name. So I knew what he could do, and I knew the environment he would thrive in. And that's one of those things where if you add an element to an otherwise boring feud, like, you know, Baron Corbin versus Kalisto, it adds excitement. It adds something new to the arsenal of both men. And Baron Corbin is really no slouch. So yeah, they put on a hell of a performance. I mean, just a hell of a performance that night. And both men are, I'm very sure, are sore right now, but they can go be sore and be happy with the match they had on, because, geez, had me on the edge of my seat that whole night.
And what were your thoughts on Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt winning the tag titles?
Certainly surprised. I mean, I was certainly surprised. It was, first of all, that it was so short. Second of all, how it came about, as far as, oh, Mr. Gore, oh, Luke Harper, and then it was, oh, RKO, Jesus. And then, Bray Wyatt was his first title. I'm so happy for them.
Unfortunately, though, Michigan's own Rhino losing one of the tag team titles, though. I was disappointed about that.
Yeah, but I think he's going to be doing something else right now, so it's one of those wait and see type things.
And now to go on to Raw last night, and what were your thoughts on the angle that closed the show with Charlotte acting like she was going to apologize to her father, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and then she ended up slapping him again, and then Sasha Banks comes out and Charlotte destroys her, and then the show closes. What did you think of it?
I thought it was brilliant. I thought, what she reminds me of right now is if Stephanie McMahon was a good worker, that's who she reminds me of. Like, that's who Charlotte reminds me of. It's certain that, the whole women's revolution is, probably like Stephanie being proud, Triple H certainly, but that's who Charlotte reminds me of. From the sound of her voice to, you son of a bitch, and betraying her father, it certainly reminded me of Stephanie McMahon. But that being said, Charlotte, despite that being reminding of Stephanie and being Ric Flair's daughter, she has certainly, over the past year or so, separated herself from her father, like, Jesus, tenfold. Like, beyond maybe any second or third generation superstar aside from Randy Orton and The Rock, she certainly separated herself from her father in ways nobody else has.
And I like this feud, and I'm a big fan of Sasha Banks and Charlotte, but
absolutely.
But I think, though, that they've been kind of flipping the title back and forth. Like, the last 2 times Sasha won it, they had her win it on a Raw, but then on the next pay-per-view, she drops it right back to Charlotte. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but I understand the logic. I think what they're trying to do is have a build-up for, oh, she can't beat her at a pay-per-view. She can beat her on Raw, SmackDown, whatever. Not SmackDown anymore. But she can't beat her on a pay-per-view. Charlotte is undefeated at a pay-per-view. She's unstoppable at a pay-per-view. So what I think that what they're going to do is, I've beaten you 3 times for this same title. You've beaten me every time there's a pay-per-view, be it, distraction or somebody holding me back or something like that, but you've beaten me. There's nobody by your side now. There's nothing you can do to stop me now. I'm champion. I'm defending my title. We're going to have this all-out brawl thing, whatever, at this next pay-per-view, and I'm actually going to win. And if she loses, it's certainly going to be confusing, but I wouldn't be surprised.
And it's been announced now for Roadblock, end of the line, I believe they're calling it now. They're going to have an Iron Man match. And your prediction, will this top the NXT Women's Iron Man match with Sasha and Bayley?
Maybe in work, yes, but not emotionally, if that's not too confusing. And by that, I mean, like everything else, that has been done before. So it's not emotionally like, oh my God, what are they going to do? And then even for those two, it's like, as far as a different match stipulation, it's like, it's not like, oh my God, what are they going to do? Because we've seen them in Hell in a Cell, what they can do. We've seen Sasha herself in an Iron Man match with Bayley. So it's not like, what are they going to do? Is the work in the ring going to be better? More likely because they've been in a longer feud. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead on a whim and go ahead and say yes. I'm going to say it's going to top the 30-minute Iron Man match between her and Bayley.
And Royal Rumble next month. Now, already announced Brock Lesnar and Goldberg in it. Do you think there's a chance they'll have one of them go over and win it?
No. Absolutely not.
And do you think Goldberg is going to be staying for WrestleMania? And if so, who do you think his opponent will be?
Yes, and Brock Lesnar. I don't want to see. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to see Goldberg around really at all, ever really. Never really a big fan of Goldberg. So if there's anybody I want that man to be in a ring with, it's somebody else from WWE that I don't want to see that often, and it's Brock Lesnar.
And what do you think about, there's been rumors for a little while now, actually, about Samoa Joe coming up to the main roster, now that he's lost the title again to Nakamura in Japan?
It would certainly make sense. Here's the weird thing. It's like, for somebody like a Samoa Joe, how would you bring him up from, sorry about that. How would you bring him up, first of all? And is it going to work? Also, are they going to do the same thing they did with Kevin Owens a year ago, or now a little over a year ago, where they have him come in dominant, like everybody else, have him kind of flail a little bit before they have him come back up dominant? I don't want to see that again. But with Joe, I hope to God it's different. It's something different. I don't know. Maybe bring him to SmackDown. I don't know. Nobody's going to bother him there.
And do you think there will be a future world title run for him?
Wait, before I answer that question, I really want to say for Royal Rumble, I really want to see Samoa Joe. But in addition, I want the 10th dude to come out to be Ty Dillinger. I think that in my heart. Go ahead with the next question.
He's a very talented guy. But do you think there, in the future, though, maybe 2017, there will be a world title run for Samoa Joe?
Absolutely. You bring him up at the Royal Rumble, or even a little bit after the Rumble, I don't care. Yes, 2017 is Samoa Joe's year. Much like 2016 was AJ Styles' year, Samoa Joe should win the title in 2017. I don't care if it's from AJ Styles, but yes, absolutely.
I was just going to ask that. This was a big feud in TNA that was probably one, if not the most popular feud TNA ever has had. Do you think WWE will do it?
Yes. I think it's inevitable. And we all know, as far as WWE guys versus a TNA guy or versus a WCW guy, sometimes it doesn't work because of WWE's own ego. But with this being WWE versus, or TNA versus TNA, I think it'll certainly work.
And now, maybe, if they'll sign Christopher Daniels from Ring of Honor, not very likely, I don't think, but maybe we can see a rematch from Unbreakable from 2005.
I don't think, honestly, because of their track record, when it comes to older, much older guys, Christopher Daniels is maybe pushing a little bit over 40 now. I don't think if they sign him, it'll be as a performer, unfortunately. After 40, I think they just sign guys as coaches or trainers. Like, they just signed Steve Corino, if you didn't know that.
Yep.
Really proud of him, but wanted to see him in a ring. But because of his age, because of what he's done to his body, maybe not. He'll just be like the coach at NXT or Performance Center or something.
I agree with that they probably won't, but I think Daniels is one guy, even at his age, he can still go out there and have great matches.
Absolutely. He's like one of those guys that, despite the age difference, he can do everything he still did when he started, let alone this stuff he does now.
And actually, we're running out of time again, unfortunately. Would you mind sticking around for another part real quick?
Absolutely. Yeah, sure.
All right, and we'll be right back.